Hey, this is Lance of 20-Sided Knight.
And I'm Evan.
And today we're going over the stat sheet of vehicles in vehicle combat. Before we go too much into that, I want to remind you all to stick around to the end of the video because we'll be talking about how to enter our monthly giveaways. But saving that for later, let's just go into how to read your sheets of your vehicles in vehicle combat.
Your vehicle sheet information, that starts on page 228 of the Starfinder core rulebook. And in true Pazio fashion, they did scatter to the four winds all parts of vehicle combat. So there are some other things on page 278 of the book, but that's neither here nor there. Today we're just focusing on, just like we were saying, like the stat sheet of the vehicle, just because when we first looked at it, it was pretty intimidating, kind of weird.
Is it less complicated than Starship Combat?
Yes.
Yes.
So just going from top down, the first thing you're going to see is the vehicle's name, level, and price. After that, it's going to be size and vehicle type. This is just going to be the basic dimensions for your vehicle and the types of terrain that your vehicle is meant to go on. So be it land, air, or sea, or in some weird cases where there's some mining vehicles, burrowing.
Are there any vehicles that are amphibious that can go on, say, land and air or anything like that?
Yeah, so there are some vehicles that do have both, for example, land speeds, air speeds, or vehicle speeds, or in some cases like the Ultimatum Hover Carrier, all three. There's nowhere you can go where you're safe from it. And then right below that, it is the speed of the vehicle. So the first number in that speed category it's like the basic movement speed for your character when they're just using their move action. Same thing for the vehicle. And then right after that is going to be the vehicle's full speed. They're really throwing the hammer down and you're going for it. And then after that, I find it really useful. I like it. It's the miles per hour speed. It's like a really good travel kind of speed. So it's not like in D&D where you have to try to do a whole bunch of math and be like, well, a person can go this speed and a horse can go this speed. And if it's a laden horse cart, math, it goes this fast. It's really nice and simplified.
Vehicle combat right away sounds a bit more straightforward than Starship Combat or even horse and buggy combat in Pathfinder.
Yeah, so like I said, thank God they did think of that. It's like, how fast can this vehicle go per hour? And then after that's going to be your KAC and EAC. This is, like your character, this is going to be how hard you're going to have to either get blasted or shot or stabbed to, really deal damage to your vehicle. And then right below that, it does talk about the cover that your vehicle provides. For certain vehicles, like the Intercycle, it's not going to really cover you at all. You're pretty exposed. Or if you're in your space Honda Civic, you're half covered. Or if you are in something that fully encompasses you, like a hover tank, it's going to give you full cover.
Now, for cover for a vehicle, is that just the cover that you take while you're inside of it? Or say if you're out of the vehicle and hiding behind it, does it work for cover for that?
So the book doesn't specify whether this is just when you're on it or in it. That would be a DM call. So for example, if you're standing behind your Intercycle, you might be able to take partial cover. Or if you're standing behind your tank, you would take full cover. That part is up to the DM discretion.
That kind of makes sense because you can scrooge down a little bit more on like a motorcycle or your Intercycle in this case. Then you would be able to scooch over to the side and pull one of those Mission Impossible moves.
Or some shenanigans.
Only Tom Cruise can do that.
All right, so HP, it works a lot like your HP for your character, but the only difference is there will be a number right next to it in parentheses. Once your health points for your vehicle gets to that point, it does become broken and it starts to get certain minuses, like it becomes harder to pilot and you deal less damage when you are hitting someone because your vehicle's gotten to the point where it's taking enough damage where, part of your bumper's over there, there's just not enough mass on the vehicle to do its full collision damage.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to do full damage if you don't have a full car, so.
Yeah, and then after that, when it goes to 0 HP, just like character, it becomes wrecked. It's up to your DM to say, well, listen, we can take it to AutoZone and they can fix it right up. Or if it's like, nah, this thing's total. Hopefully you had insurance, but you're murder hobo, so you probably don't have Geico. And so right after that is your vehicle's hardness. This is just because your vehicle is a giant block of mostly metal, so it is going to absorb some damage. And how that works is, let's say someone does shoot your Intercycle and they only deal 4 damage. It's going to, since the hardness on that is 5, it's just going to harmlessly ping that bullet off, or someone tries to stab it. Don't try to stab a car because that's stupid. And the next portion on the sheet is going to be your attack. Now, some vehicles, they do have like a mounted weapon like when the Australians decided to go to war with the emus, they just sort of threw a machine gun and then bolted it to the back of that truck. Or when James Bond, he has those sweet double machine guns behind the headlights when he was shooting down emus. That's going to be your attack. So if you have any sort of special guns or anything like that on it, that's going to be your attack. If not, you will have every vehicle does have the collision attack, which is you do have to make a piloting check equal to that vehicle's DC, which is right next to the collision attack for the enemy vehicle. And if you do meet that and you do ram into them, you are going to deal the damage that your vehicle would do. But keep in mind that because you are ramming your vehicle into someone else's vehicle, you're going to take half the damage that you deal onto them. It's like headbutting someone. You're going to get hurt also. So you will take half of whatever damage you do end up dealing to them.
That makes sense. You can't just be smashing into people all day unless you reinforce your car with, force fields.
Yeah, I'd probably just increase your hardness of that.
And so a few ways that I would figure would be really interesting for a group to overcome certain things, like the amount of damage that you take for ramming somebody successfully or not having a weapon on the ship, would be to purchase or have the builders of your group craft things such as inlaid in weapon slots, sort of like how you can have those biomechanical upgrades to have a hideaway weapon slot, or armor upgrades to have a tuck-in pocket for your guns and whatnot. It would be totally within bounds to hollow out, say, a door panel and put some guns or some heroin or a knife in there just to be able to shoot out at people from the passenger side windows, or some sort of Pope-mobile-esque bulletproof windows and door framing, so when you ram somebody, it does decrease the amount of damage or even nullify the damage that you would take when ramming into something like a pedestrian.
Yeah, but again, that'd be something you have to talk to your DM about, upgrading your vehicle and how you'd go ahead and do that.
DMs, let your people do this because something that cuts off the legs more of a group than them trying to make something that's feasible, special, but also probable to do, and they're told no because I just don't feel like, I feel like it would make you guys powerful.
The other thing you can do is if you are trying to mow down a pedestrian for whatever reason, it does have to be a creature that is 2 sizes smaller than your vehicle, and what it does assume is that you've maneuvered your vehicle so it is going to intersect and hit them, and if you are going to run them over, they do have to make a reflex saving throw, and the DC for that is right next to your vehicle attack damage. And if they succeed, they take half the damage that you would deal to them. But when you are factoring in how much damage your vehicle is going to take, just remember that your vehicle does have hardness and you can save yourself some health points that way. Right below that, there will be the modifiers for your vehicle. This will cover certain things like how the minuses or the plus you'll get for maneuvering a certain vehicle. Like, for example, an Enercycle, it's going to be a lot more graceful and maneuverable than an 18-wheeler semi-truck. For example, the Enercycle, you do get a +2 to your piloting checks, but for things like a hover tank, you're going to get around a -5 to pilot that bad boy.
Tanks can't turn on a dime in the future? Whack. Damn it.
But there are other certain modifiers you do have to keep in mind. So for example, right after your piloting plus or minus, there is the minus you are going to get to attack. This applies to when your vehicle is moving, just because I don't know if you've ever been shooting out of a vehicle before, but you got to factor certain things like the speed you're going, you got to lead things farther. It's a real pain in the neck. Below that, it are going to be the systems that your vehicle has. These are any sort of special bells or whistles that your vehicle has, like an auto drive system, an autopilot system, maybe it's something like a camera so you can see out of your vehicle better, like you have an enclosed tank, or any sort of special communications suite you would have on the car, like a fancy car phone from the 90s, or a cup holder for your 72-ounce glug.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, opulent.
And this would definitely come in handy if you do have one of those larger vehicles where each party member does have an action that they want to take. This could be good to keep everybody engaged.
And so after that is the passengers. That's going to be how many people that can fit in your vehicle besides the pilot and whatever complement that vehicle would require. The passengers, they can do a range of activities from just sort of sitting in the car and enjoying how much faster that the car is going than they could ever go, or if the vehicle has something like a turret in the back, they could man that turret, help help the driver out, just so they don't have to war boy style crawl out of the vehicle every time they need to shoot a machine gun at someone while the vehicle's driving.
Well, 3 other people were in the back, but no, just Mad Max and Furiosa.
Yeah, they were real lazy. Maybe they deserved to get slaved up by more than Joe, but that's neither here nor there.
No.
Listen, they were lazy. The Bible says no being lazy.
Yikes.
All right, and then after that, that is going to be the complement for your vehicle. This is something where it's typically for your larger vehicles, and it's something where besides the pilot, it has to be crewed by that many more people for the vehicle to function. The book does state that if it isn't fully crewed by a complement, it's not going to be able to move or take actions, which there's a couple different things you could do. Like if it's a vehicle like a hover tank where it has a complement of 2, you could do some certain things so the other people who are helping crew it, they can engage as well, instead of just the pilot saying, well, I'm going to do everything and you two just sort of sit there while I be Captain Cool Boy. You could do something where one of the person's like the navigator and they could help the pilot maneuver certain places. They could, sort of pop their little head out and see where they're going.
And take sniper fire.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's a crucial role to any tank.
Yeah. Carlon was a member of that Delta Squad, just like how, head popping Steve is a crucial member of this tank.
Hey, listen, every role is equally as important. And then for the third person, you could have them be the gunner of the tank, so they could roll for attack and to do damage. I know for some of it, like a tank, I do agree, but for one of the things I don't see quite eye to eye with in the book is that there's nothing where it has a full complement. So for example, with the Ultimatum Helicarrier, it has a complement of 59, so if you only have the pilot plus 58 people, that thing won't be able to move at all. It'd be nice if there was something like, yeah, if it's not fully crewed, it'll take these detriments. But the last thing that's going to be on your vehicle sheet are going to be any special abilities that it's going to have. It's going to be rarer than, let's say, your fancy opulent cup holders. It's typically going to be something a little larger. So for example, in the police cruiser, it has an ability where if it rams you with a sweep pit maneuver, it can try to do something where it will disengage your car, so it'll just turn off. Or for the Ultimatum Helicarrier, it does have like a cargo space where it can hold 8 vehicles that are either of larger size or smaller, so it can just deploy them whenever needed.
So that does cover the overview for the Sheeton's vehicle combat for Starfinder. It is quite a bit less to unpack than Starship Combat by a mile, and just promised it, and as promised in the beginning of the video, just talking briefly about how to enter our monthly giveaways. First thing you're going to need to do is subscribe. We love all comments to everybody, but just for the people to be entered in our monthly giveaways, subscribe, and then also drop a comment down below of any of our videos, not just the giveaway ones, you rascals. And basically, it's our favorite comment for each one, not just the person who comments the most. Any interesting question that's asked or viewer suggestion is always loved, and it's one of our favorite things to see is somebody answering somebody else's question that ain't us.
Yeah,
that's always nice to see.
Yeah, community involvement's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks again for watching 20 Sided Night, and bye for now.